Hello, this is Dr. Mears, and today we are going to be factoring by grouping. So the greatest common factor can take many forms. Previously, we were factoring out a number or a single term. For this video, our greatest common factor will be a binomial. So let's look at our examples. Here you notice that I have four terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I want to be able to do is group these terms and take out a greatest common factor from each group. Before we actually go and group these terms, I have to make sure that we have the exponents in decreasing order. That means the highest exponent is going to be first here, and then the next, 3, 2, and then the next. This is really x to the first power. Remember, if there's not a power there, then that means the first power. And then here for the 12, we don't have an exponent. We have no x. It would be x to the 0, but we don't write x to the 0. So I have my exponents in decreasing order, 3, 2, 1, none. Okay, now I'm ready to group them together. I'm going to use parentheses to group the first two, and I'm going to use parentheses to group the second two. And I am going to include that plus sign because I want to make sure I'm using that positive. Okay, so we're going to look at the groups one at a time. And so I'm going to get a little sticky, and I'm going just to block out the second group so we can concentrate on the first. All right, from this first group, we see that our greatest common factor would be x squared. Then we're going to put parentheses down. We're going to factor out x squared from x cubed. We have x that is going to be factored out, and an x squared from positive 3x squared, and a 3 is going to be factored out. Perfect. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the second group, positive 4x plus 12. And you're right, we're going to factor out a positive 4, and what we're going to have left is x plus 3. Now, when I take this away, what do you notice about these two groups? What do you notice about this group and this group? And you're right, they both have x plus 3. So between these two groups, the greatest common factor is our binomial x plus 3. And that's what we're going to take out. We're going to take out an x plus 3. And now when I divide out an x plus 3 from this first group, divide out an x plus 3, I have an x squared, x squared. When I divide out an x plus 3 from the second group, I have a positive 4. And so now my answer with my greatest common factor, x plus 3, that is a binomial because we have two terms, 1, 2, meaning binomial. So binomial, two terms. And what we have left over after we factored it out, x squared plus 4. And that's the factoring by grouping. Let's try number 2. First, let's make sure, number 1, decreasing exponents. That's not written very nice. Let me write that a little bit better for everybody to see where you are. All right, number 1, decreasing exponents. And then number 2, grouping. Okay, so first, decreasing exponents. 3, 2, 1, no y variable. So we do have decreasing exponents. Now we can go to grouping. I'm going to group this first one. I'm going to group the second one. And then I'm just going to look at one group at a time. From the first group, you can see it's just like the one we did before. We're going to factor out a y squared. We're going to have y cubed minus 1. Remember, y squared divided by y squared is 1, or in this case, negative y squared divided by y squared is 1. All right, let's take a look at the second group. The second group, yep, you see it. We're going to factor out a positive 3, and I'm going to have y minus 1. Negative 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, take my sticky away. Did I make a mistake here? Yes, I made a mistake here because I was talking over me writing, so. Because if I take out y squares from y to the third, I should only have one y left. Okay, much better. And you could see that, automatically I made a mistake because these two should be the same, right? These two right here should be the same, and they weren't, so I had to go back and check my work. Okay, so we have between these two groups, you're right, we have that y minus 1. And so factoring out a y minus 1 from here, we get y squared left. Factoring out a y minus 1 from here, we get positive 3. And that is my answer. My greatest common factor was y minus 1. And then what I factored out, what I have left is y squared plus 3. Okay. Now, number 3. Sometimes you might have to rearrange. And that means we might not have decreasing exponents. So let's look. So I have 4r to the third. Is that the highest exponent? It is. So that is going to be first, 4r to the third. Okay. What's my next highest exponent? And I see it's 20r squared. It's positive, so I'm going to bring that positive 20r squared. What's next? My minus 3r. And then I have minus 15. Now that I have decreasing exponents, I can put them into groups. And I could take a look at one group at a time. Okay, so I have 4r to the third minus 20r squared. I can definitely divide out of 4, and I'm going to divide out r squared as well. From here, I have an r left, and then 20 divided by 4 is 5, and then no more r's left because I took out the r squared. Okay, let's look at the other side. I have negative 3r minus 15. Okay, I'm definitely taking out that negative with that 3, and I'm going to have r, so negative 15 divided by negative 3 is a positive 5. And you'll see that these two definitely are the same. We're looking good. So I'm going to factor out an r plus 5. When I factor out an r plus 5 here, I have 4r squared. Oh no, my pen's running out. Let's just switch to another. I'm going to switch to a good old pencil. So I'm going to have 4r squared. And if I factor out an r plus 5, I have minus 3. That's a little bit better because it looks a little bit darker. My pen was running out. So I have quantity r plus 5 times the quantity 4r squared minus 3. And if you like to check those off here so that you could see, you could do that as well. Okay, 2 more to go, number 4 and number 5. So number 4, we have others where we might have to factor out a greatest common factor first. So all the terms might actually have a term in common. And so this is where if you want to get your technology to help you factor out, or it might be as simple as just knowing your number of facts. It's absolutely fine as well. Okay, so first let's make sure that they are in decreasing exponents. So like unlike this, we had to rearrange this one. So let's just make sure. So we have, I'm just going to put a little box around it so we can clearly focus on it. A to the third, a squared, a to the first, and no a. All right, they are in decreasing order. So we now can see, let's see if there's any number and or variable we can divide out of all of these. And I think it looks like it's going to be 4. I was going to go 6, but we can't divide 40 by 6. So I believe it's going to be 4. And 60 divided by 4 is going to be 15. So let's factor out a 4. And let's divide everything by 4. So we're going to divide that by 4. That's going to be 15a to the third. That by 4 minus 10a squared. That by 4 plus 9a. And that by 4 minus 6. Okay. 15, 10, 9, and 6. Okay, I'm making sure my signs are correct, my plus and minus, and they are. Okay, so I divided it all out, and these are division signs here. Kind of put my box and couldn't see my division symbols. Now I can go and I can group these inside. Don't forget about your 4. It does have to come with us. Do you have to do this? You don't necessarily have to. It does make factoring easier, and it does get it into its simplest form, meaning that you did take a greatest common factor out. So I would definitely look for that greatest common factor because you want it to be as simple as possible. You want it to be as can't even, divide anything out any further. That's what we want. That's our goal to get to. Okay, so I'm just going to bring my 4 down. Let's group and group. All right, so let's look at this first group here. between, we have 15a cubed minus 10a squared. Definitely a 5 because we could divide 15 and 10 by 5 and a squared. So we're going to do 5a squares. What do I have left over? We have 3a and minus 2. Negative 10 divided by 5 is minus 2. A squared and a squared, those cross out. Okay, let's look at my other side here. 9a minus 6. Yep, I'm going to go with that 3. So I'm going to go with a positive 3. 9 divided by 3. 9a divided by 3 is 3a. And then negative 6 divided by 3 is 2. And some people like to make these little brackets instead of parentheses because parentheses get kind of messy if you start having them. So I like to do little like brackets like this, much easier, kind of like half boxes. Okay, so bring down your 4. Let's see, these should be the same, and they are, so that's my greatest common factor, 3a minus 2. And then what do I have left over? 5a squared plus 3. And actually, I don't need those brackets anymore because it is so nice and simple now. So all I have to do is put the 4, and here is my final answer. So I had an overall greatest common factor, and then I factored out what was left over. All right, and our last one for today. Some of them, then some, might be prime, meaning they're not factorable. So let's see what happens. Let's see what this looks like when we try to factor it. So first, are the exponents decreasing order? 3, 2, 1, and we don't have an x, so none. Perfect. Let's group it now, and I'm gonna write it down here, 3x cubed plus 3x. Okay, so let's group them, making a little mistake. Going too fast here and here. Okay, from the first group, you're right, let's take out an x squared. So we have x plus 1 left over. From the second group, you see it, so we're going to take out a positive 3. We have x, negative 3 divided by positive 3 is minus 1. So what do you notice here? Right, you're noticing that this factor and this factor, these should be the same. These are not the same, which means that it's prime and it can't be factored any further. So just be careful. If these are different, don't automatically go to say, oh, they're not factorable. If these are different, just kind of like I made the mistake up here with this, and I was like, ooh, something's wrong. Make sure you didn't make a mistake first. Make sure that you divide it out correctly. Make sure that your signs are correct. Make sure you didn't make a silly mistake. And then you can say, hey, it's prime. If you didn't make any mistakes and you feel confident with that, then yes, go on to say that it's prime and not factorable. But that's what it would look like. These would be different, and you can make sure you didn't make any mistakes before that. So that's factoring by grouping, and I hope it helped. Thank you.